The members of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 716 built the things that make Rice University and Houston great, and we want you to join us. Build a better career. To find out more, visit ibew716.net.
Big trip on the horizon? Before you depart, you gotta park. The Parking Spot is a simpler, easier way to navigate airport parking, and you can save when you book online. You're guaranteed a spot, and we even pick you up at your trunk in our yellow and black spotted shuttles and take you straight to the terminal. Parking and saving come full circle at the Parking Spot. The Parking Spot, proud sponsor of Rice University. Visit theparkingspot.com to reserve your spot today.
The following is a presentation of the Rice Sports Network. From Learfield IMG College. On the Rice Sports Network from Learfield IMG College, welcome to Rice Owls Insider, powered by IBEW Local 716, lighting up Rice University in Houston for over 100 years. Karlgaard Brewing Company, crafted for serious fun. And by AT&T Sportsnet, the TV home of the Astros and Rockets. Now, here's the voice of the Owls, JP Heath.
Welcome back. Welcome back. This is another edition of Rice Owls Insider. I hope you missed us because we missed you. You can catch us on YouTube, the Rice Athletics YouTube page. Imagine that. And wherever you get your podcast, just type us in and you can get your old Rice friends here each and every week. Essentially, the way this broke down is during a pandemic, you adjust and you can't go to do certain things if you're just kind of catching us again, because we might have a new audience with our baseball-centered shows. This is in place of before that, the Wayne Graham shows where we'd be out and about. Well, now we can still do them and have those different coaches and get the different student athletes represented. And we'll still talk a lot of baseball, but we still get to talk about other things happening around Rice Athletics. And I think, for one, I get some vote in this. I think it's been outstanding the way we've been able to touch a lot of bases, so to speak, across the athletic department, because so many great stories in a jam-packed athletic season like we're having here in the crossover seasons deluxe. What a great time it's been. But the first installment of the baseball-centered shows with Coach Bragga coming up here in this week. Owls fell in that series to UTSA this past weekend. I'll be on the call from Middle Tennessee State this weekend as we record it, and every weekend, actually, for the 4-game series. You like that? You like that new format? I do. We talked about it during the broadcast, but I like the 4-game feel of things, and you get that stretch. So Coach Bragg will be coming up later on after we hear from Director of Athletics, Joe Karlgaard, and he'll have a lot to talk about. One of the big things, of course, we'll focus on the WNIT championship for those Rice women. They get another banner, and what another great season it was for Tina Langley. And if you're wondering, hey, why don't you have basketball on right after they win the WNIT title? Well, since maybe you didn't even ask, well, I'm telling you, it's because of the nature of when they get back and scheduling and how we piece these recordings together in the different fashion that all the great folks that they do. So that's why. So we're going to have a full show next week, a basketball recap. Already talked to Coach Para. We'll wrap up the men's side, and then we'll wrap up the women's side. Maybe get a couple of the great student athletes, and what a great story. And for that, Mike, the men too. What a great finish to the men's season as well. A strong showing in the Conference USA tournament. But we also have some Rice volleyball talk on the show. And wow, what a time it's been for Rice volleyball. But since we have talked to you last, they win at number 2 Texas. I remember talking to Coach Volpe in this very format a few weeks ago, when I guess bordering on a few months ago now, that when we previewed the volleyball season, hey, when you have that Texas game, that's a great warm-up, quote-unquote, with Baylor right before that too, going into the conference tournament, which is happening right now. As this is released, the volleyball team is prepping to take on Middle Tennessee for its Conference USA tournament opener over in Hattiesburg. But junior setter Carly Graham is coming up on the show today, and we didn't know it at the time when we recorded our chat. For one, there's a good chance she'll be all conference, but her, along with Nicole Lennon, the league announced to the Conference USA, they were named to the Conference USA all academic team. No surprise that you have great Rice representation, but it's great to see that Nicole Lennon, Carly Graham represented. Lennon, a double major in economics and psychological sciences, 3.73 GPA. Graham, kinesiology major, 3.65 GPA. But they've been named to the academic. She's been named to the academic honor roll 3 times. And Carly and I discussed this coming up in a couple of segments. Just fantastic talking to her, and appreciate her squeezing us in. Rice Soccer has won 4 in a row. They grab a share of the CUSA West Division lead. 8-2 Owls. Friend of the podcast, Brian Lee, joined us a few weeks ago. But they're receiving votes in the coaches poll, top 25. They have a road game at UAB coming up Friday night. But a lot to get to. Matt Bragga, head baseball coach of the Rice Owls, also is going to be on the show since this is the start of the de facto Matt Bragga shows coming up. He'll be on after we have Joe Karlgaard and before we have Carly Graham on coming up later on. But it's all brought to you by our friends at IBEW Local 716, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 716, lighting up Rice University in Houston for over 100 years. We kick off the show next with Joe Karlgaard here on Rice Owls Insider from Learfield, IMG College.
Rockets fans, AT&T Sportsnet is your home for everything Rockets. Stay up to date with your favorite team and follow ATT Sportsnet SW on social media for exclusive content. Hear from Haley Griffin and Matt Bullard for insight on what's going on around the team.
I think he's going to be really, really good for the Houston Rockets.
Plus new episodes of Rockets All Access. Turn to AT&T Sportsnet from pregame to postgame. Watch every game only on AT&T Sportsnet.
This refreshing message brought to you by Love Street Cold Style Blonde. If you're in the mood for something new that's not really new and actually feels like it's been around the whole time, then take a trip down Love Street. This easy-drinking, anytime cold style blonde goes great with your favorite record and favorite people. It's a refreshing beer and a state of mind. But I'm just a voice on the radio. You should try it out for yourself. All you need is Love Street. Brewed with love in Houston, Texas at the Karlgaard Brewing Company.
Welcome back to Rice Owls Insider and the voice of the Owls, J.P. Heath.
Again, welcome back. Great to be doing these again, the Rice Owls Insider podcast. I don't think I mentioned it last segment, but wherever you get your podcast, and if you're listening on the audio, you can match us up with the video on the Rice Athletics YouTube feed and vice versa. If you're just on the audio side, hey, you can put us on that video playlist as well on YouTube, Rice Athletics. But joining us again is a very familiar face and voice, Dr. Joe Karlgaard, Athletic Director at Rice. Hey, how are you? Been a few weeks. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, JP?
Can't complain one bit, especially this time of year. And a lot of things to get to. First and foremost, among other great things to talk about, you made a trip over there to Memphis Way and got to see a championship, WNIT title. Walk us through that experience and just the overall, the way Coach Langley's built it, we're used to that winning mindset here the last few years since she's been here. So what did that mean to you, and what was that like witnessing it in person?
Yeah, I go back to the mood in the locker room at the conclusion of the Conference USA Championship game, and as you can imagine, pretty somber mood at that point because our team really wanted to be playing in the NCAA tournament. And I remember Coach saying, hey, you guys aren't, you probably can't recognize it in this moment, but we still have an opportunity in front of us, an opportunity to win a championship and cut down nets. And I'm telling you that we're going to invest in that opportunity and see what we can do. And I don't think it probably resonated with the student athletes in that moment, but it sure as heck caught my attention. And then to go into the tournament and win 5 games, to beat, on bookends, to beat 2 Power 5 teams, one from the Pac-12 and one from the SEC, and to just essentially dominate, to win 5 games by double digits, to beat a previously unbeaten team. Just everything that you could have asked for in a championship experience, that team achieved. And I think they just proved to everybody how resilient, how mentally tough they are, and what a great leader we have in Coach Langley.
Yeah, and saying this in the most positive way, it just, having Coach on, she does not like, for those that don't know her, she does not want me to talk up about her. So having you here, it's the perfect spot to talk about her and just what she has done. Just what does she do that exudes such a great leadership? Because obviously the players have bought in, and not just this year, but in the last few years too.
Yeah, it's actually something that I try to meet with as many recruits and their parents as possible, because I know that she won't talk about herself. And so if anybody's going to talk about Coach Langley, it's going to have to be me. Yeah. She has a humility about her that is that's special. She's an unflappable personality. I mean, you watch her on the sideline, she never gets too high. She never gets too low. She may in private moments, but in front of her team when she's leading them, it's always on to the next play. And I think that she develops the personal relationships. She develops the skill. Our team, I said this to the team after we beat Arizona State, the good teams in the country can either win pretty or win ugly. The great teams can do both. When the shots are falling, you can win. But when the shots aren't falling and you have to rely on defense, you can win too. And that's what they've done all year. Just a remarkable performance, particularly at the end of the year. We had a 3-week COVID pause in the middle of the year. We had a couple players opt out for COVID reasons. Another player was injured and out for the season. So, we played the year basically with 10. On a scholarship allotment that's 15. So we were down a third of our full scholarship allotment and still achieved what they achieved. And so I just couldn't be prouder of them.
Sticking with the round ball, what a good run it was for the men to cap, again, a season that was a lot like the women, and that there were some health issues. And Coach Parrott really didn't have his full roster for a lot of the season. But your thoughts on the positive way that Coach Perry and the guys beating Southern Miss and beating Marshall and getting to that quarterfinal round of the men's tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think they started to play great basketball again at the end of the year. When we got to the conference tournament, they really locked in defensively those last 3 games. And you have to when you get to Frisco, because it's not a great shooting environment, to play in a football stadium. And so you've got to make sure that you're locked in defensively. I was really proud of their effort, their resilience. This is a group that really seems to enjoy each other. And I think that makes a difference. I'm really excited about the trajectory of men's basketball. We've got some great recruits coming in, both freshmen and it looks like a couple of grad transfers that I think will contribute. We're going to be, we should be deeper than we've been in a while. And I think, we have a really good chance to crack into the top half of the league and make some noise. And, it's been since 2017 since we've really had that kind of year. And I think we're poised to have it again in 21-22.
Going to volleyball now, Carly Graham, junior setters, coming up here in a couple segments. But my gosh, and we had this pause coming up before the start of our baseball section of shows, so we weren't intentionally just not doing shows there. But the volleyball wins at number 2 Texas, and as great as last year was in winning at home, and I remember us geeking out about that at that time. Just how big was that winning at Texas and just everything, and playing Baylor to 5 sets, really their only loss when they had a full roster. But just how big was that winning at Texas?
Well, I mean, it's great to have those kinds of performances heading into the conference tournament, because it gives you, I would think, would give you a lot of confidence, knowing that, Western Kentucky will be formidable. If we're fortunate enough to make it to the finals, we'll probably match up against them. And we've had some great wars with them over the years. So I think playing Baylor as well as we did and then knocking off Texas, will put us in a position, hopefully, to have a lot of confidence going into the tournament. As it pertains to the excitement that I felt over beating UT, I remember when we did it in 2019. And, I think 4 or 5 days later, we played UT in football. And I was down on the field speaking to a person who would be well recognized by the Rice Owl Insider crowd about that match. And I said, hey, what a great win for Rice over you guys. And he said, oh, yeah, I told our coach, hey, you shouldn't overlook Rice because they're a pretty good team. But clearly that's what we did. And so, we weren't prepared for that game. And so then to go back and beat them in their home gym the next time we played them, I think proves that, we've got a pretty good volleyball team. And, it had nothing to do with how well UT prepared. We just outplayed them 2 years in a row. So that was very satisfying.
I got it. Well, yeah, that's great. I love it. So we have spring football going on right now and some baseball in a bit. By the way, we, of course, just popping on, we do have Coach Bragga coming up next segment. Full due there with Coach Bragga. But just with spring football, some staff changes. And I know they're getting used to some new quarterbacks, but just anything you've heard from the football front, we hope to get Coach Bloom on here in a few weeks himself. But just how exciting is that really we have every sport going on right now with spring football in action too?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I've noticed about spring football is just the energy level of the guys. And, it really is different than anything I think I've ever witnessed. And I was trying to put my finger on it. And I would imagine that, if you went through the fall and all the uncertainty that went into playing football this fall, that going into spring football and having that element removed, knowing that, hey, we've got 15 practices, they're scheduled, we're going to get them all in, we're going to be able to do what we love, probably felt like a burden lifted to our student athletes. So I've really been impressed. It's been the best spring in my 8 years here that I've seen. There's some position battles going on. There's a couple injuries, so we're not fully stocked this spring. But I would say just the overall tenor and demeanor of our football program right now really bodes well for the fall. So I'm excited about what's to come here in the fall of 2021. I think we have a chance to be pretty good.
Open up at Arkansas, and that'll be here before we know it. But finally, there is a great announcement coming from the Black Student Athlete Summit that is going to be hosted on campus next year. Discuss what went into that, because I know you've formed a friendship with Leonard Moore, and just what went into that and what is, I know more details will be released at a later time, but just what is that all about coming up here pretty soon?
Well, I went to my first Black Student Athlete Summit in Austin in 2020. So, January of last year, just before the pandemic. And there were, 600 or so student athletes from across the country in attendance, some administrators, a small handful of athletics directors. We took a few student athletes and a few staff members as well. I was just really impressed with the programming, the networking, very topical about kind of the what is different about being a Black student athlete in Division I athletics. And I've had occasion to get to know Leonard a little bit over the last 5 years or so, and we've gotten closer over the last couple of years. And he this last December went on sabbatical. And he's continuing to run the Black Student Athlete Summit, and so his desire was to start to take it on the road, and we volunteered to be the first road show, so to speak. So we went through a process with our campus to make sure that we had the right facilities, and then just signed an MOU with the BSA Summit a few weeks ago, and then made the announcement, and the reception has been really good. So we're excited about it. We're excited about hosting student athletes from all over the country. We're excited for the Houston and South Texas community, not just us, but Houston Baptist, Texas Southern, UH, Texas A&M, Prairie View, et cetera. and the ability for their student athletes to get involved and attend as well. So I think it's going to be a great thing for our campus and certainly for our student athletes and staff.
Hey, thanks for the time. Glad to be doing these again, and we'll talk to you in 2 or 3 weeks, all right?
That sounds good, JP. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joe Karlgaard of our Rice Owls. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we'll hear from head baseball coach Matt Bragga right after this. Rice Owls Insider from Learfield IMG College.
Even now, while we're distancing, your body needs to move. At Houston Methodist Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, our teams are ready with advanced technology and imaging to deliver custom treatment plans safely. And our minimally invasive procedures can help you heal faster. We have the expertise to keep you moving because every movement matters. Find the care you need at locations throughout Houston. Houston Methodist, leading medicine.
You're listening to Rice Owls Insider. Let's rejoin JP Heath.
Welcome back on Rice Owls Insider. Feels oh so good to be back, like we were talking about last segment. Miss coming out and doing these in person, but we have the third-year head baseball coach of the Rice Owls, Matt Bragga, with us. This will take place of the usual coaches shows that we had. So, Coach, how are you? Long time no see.
JP, great to see you, man. You do a phenomenal job, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks. We're just talking off air about your early morning nature. I even shave for you, Coach. So
I love it. Hey, I'll tell you what, it is something like you look around college baseball, even in the trends and fads that are going on with guys with mustaches and beards, and it's amazing how time different. Like in 2 years, completely will be changed. Yeah,
I had the quarantine beard rocking, but getting serious here. Not as young as I once was, but just. And most people know the drill in these shows. We did them with Coach Bloomgren and Coach Parra, but just this week I thought we'd just take a look at the season as a whole and some on that UTSA series here in just a bit. But just your early thoughts. You're 12-11, but there's been a lot. I know you want to improve, but there's still a lot of positives to build on with so much of the season to go. So big picture, kind of eye in the sky. What have you thought so far?
Yeah, I mean, inconsistency. Just shooting it as straight as I can, and we'll be really pretty darn good ball club one day, and the very next day we won't be good enough. And we're striving for consistency, just to be able to, show up daily and be the same team we were the day before, and not same team bad, same team good. And right now we've struggled with that, and that's something we're working on daily. And we know that that's an issue. Our guys know that that's an issue. And so, that's my job to try to get us to the point where, we're consistently good. You do that with talent, number one. Talent is consistent. It doesn't really go away. So that is a key, component of everything you do in our livelihood, in our sport, is the talent that you have on the field. So that's number one to consistency. But then number two to consistency is, being able to come out and play the same way with the same enthusiasm and energy and passion day to day. And that's harder because that's difficult because we're all human, and emotions come and go and roll high some days and roll low others. So, but that's something we're really fighting for, JP.
Was the A&M win recently, that was the high water mark of the year to let the fans and the team internally know what you can be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think it was a great start to our week, to go to A&M and have our pitching staff do what they did. And I think give up 1 or 2 hits in that game. Phenomenal job. And our offense did just enough, and defense played like they had all year. But I think the week shows exactly what I'm talking about. You look at it and you say, you got your best win of the year at A&M on the road. It's a great win for our club. And then you come out this weekend and lose 3 out of 4 and, don't play well. I think we made 8 errors on the weekend. I mean, we're a club, I've said it all year, we can really, really defend at a high level. And you go out and make 7 or 8 errors on the weekend, field at .930 fielding percentage. And then there's other things that don't show up in the book where you we make a bobble a ball so we don't get a double play. Instead, we may only get one out, or we don't throw a runner out when we should have thrown the runner out. And 2 runs end up scoring later that inning when that would have been the 3rd out. Those don't even show up in the box score. So those are little things where I look at defensively, JP, and say we have to do a better job. And then on the mound, we've got to have more consistency in terms of being able to command the strike zone, throw strikes. So when you command the strike zone, you command the at-bat. And when you command the at-bat, you're in total control. You give that control away the moment you get behind an account. You go 1-0, you go 2-0, you go 2-1. And we've got to do a better job of getting ahead and commanding the strike zone. I felt we pitched with a little bit of fear this weekend. I hate fear. Fear is in your mind. It's made up. And I feel like we did that this weekend, and that's not good enough. And we've got to do a better job of that. Offensively, I think for the most part this weekend, it was actually one of our better weekends. Although game 3, I would not say that. I think we only got a couple hits in game 3. So, but anyway, yeah, we've got some areas to improve.
And looking at that UTSA series, the big positive coming out of it was that walk-off win. You get 6 runs. You can't count on that every game when you get behind, but you get the 3-run homer for Bullman, overshadowed because Cade Edwards on walk-off. An emotional win like that. I know you wanted to carry it over to a Sunday win to get the series split, but just discuss the electricity of a moment like that makes college baseball the great sport it is, doesn't it?
There's no question. I mean, that's what a moment. I mean, what a moment for our guys, for our program, for our team. For Austin Bowman, who's been struggling this year, to come in and have some really good at-bats this weekend. I think that was his first start in a while, to hit the big 3-run homer. And then Cade Edwards, to I think he was just put in the leadoff spot that game, and to get that late at-bat like that and hit the walk-off home run, that was pure jubilation and a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. It's difficult. It's one of those that you'd like to sit back and enjoy a little bit, but then 45 minutes later with the format this year, we've got a doubleheader. And again, human nature, you're on that emotional roller coaster high, and you've got to come back down really quickly because 45 minutes later, you got the second game of the day. And I don't think we did a great job of that. I almost can't fault us, but we didn't do a good job of that, of being able to get back down and say, hey, let's go. We got another ball game. Mitchell Holcomb threw really good game 3 of the series. But that game we didn't do enough offensively. But boy, what an exciting game 2 that was, and to be able to come back like that, it shows the grit and determination of our team.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Holcomb. That was on my list to ask you about because he's one of the many new faces, and I'll ask about Roel in a moment. But in those 7-inning doubleheaders, we might talk doubleheader strategy in a second, but that played out well for you nicely to be able to save the bullpen, which has been coming along a little bit, but just discuss how big that is with Mitchell and then other guys that are in that role to eat up innings, the 7 or the 9-inning appearances.
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell is just, we talked about it early in the year, JP. He's just really consistent. I mean, he just goes out there, his pitchability, he has great pitchability. It's not overpowering. Like, you're not like, wow, this is unbelievable, overpowering, striking out 12 in 7 innings. Not that he's not capable of doing that, but that's not really who he is. He's going to pitch. He's going to throw, pitches and counts people don't expect, and with command. And he's got great poise out there, great temperament out there. And has been great for us, been wonderful. It's a great guy to have on your team, a great guy to have on the mound. With that being said, he gave us 7 innings. Our other 3 starters in the other 3 games gave us like 9 1/3 combined. Now, Roel was only able to go 4 because of muscle cramping. But still, in 3 games to only get 9 1/3 out of your other 3 starters, that taxes a bullpen, and that has to improve. We need 15 innings out of those 3 guys, not 9. We need 18 innings out of those 3, not 9. So that's an area to look for improvement as the season rolls along. And again, I'm really proud of Mitchell. I thought he did a great job, and we had some other decent guys on the weekend as well.
Yeah, and since you did mention Roel, is he okay? I mean, he'll be okay for Middle Tennessee.
He is. It's just, Roel, he just got some muscle cramping in his calf actually, and came in. He barely, fought through the fourth inning there for us, which was awesome. But came in the dugout, and our training staff just said, "Hey, he just can't go back out. It wouldn't be a good idea."
All right, last two questions, and we'll get you out of here because I know you got a busy morning. But the format, I joke with Coach Para, by the way, in basketball. They had the back-to-back schedules, and I said, Coach, I'm not going to ask you every week about this, but since you've got one in the rearview mirror, what do you think about the new 4-game format? And it feels almost like a minor league or a pro feel. You're getting a lot of games, and with UTSA's case, you got a good rivalry going with 4 of the 8 games already in, but you're going to see a lot of these teams. And what do you think about the overall structure of this new format for this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think for what we had to do with, and I'm not just talking about Rice, I'm talking about college baseball landscape across the country. When you're trying to save money by traveling less, having less plane flights, etc., and you're trying to play a great sample size of games, I think the 4-game series was necessary. I really do. I think it was necessary. I don't, is it a difficult format for not just us, but other programs and teams? Sure it is. To play 4 games in a short time like that, that's a lot of wear and tear. But that's why there's not a lot of midweek games this year. We don't have a midweek this week. It's a short week anyway, going into middle. But we don't have midweek next week either, even with a long week, even with Easter Sunday off. So, but I'm not opposed to the 4 games at all, JP. I think if for what had to be done with the circumstances that are at hand, I think it's great.
Yeah, it opens up a whole avenue of strategies and stuff too, like we've discussed in other places. But finally, you go back to Tennessee, and you had so much success there. But just thoughts going into this weekend and anything about the Blue Raiders program. They split with UAB over the weekend, had a couple crazy games, but just thoughts on going back to one of your home fronts, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, Murfreesboro is about 45 minutes from Cookeville, Tennessee, where, my family and I were for 16 years. So it's, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't really been back since. So I'm looking forward to go to Murfreesboro. Been there a lot of times, played a lot of baseball games there. Nice place to play. And the weather's going to be a little chilly. They'll think they have an advantage because of that. I certainly hope our guys are tough enough to take a little bit of cold weather. But, middle right now looks like the strength of their team is their pitching staff. They got a couple starters that have done really, really, really well. One's a Vanderbilt transfer, and the other one's been there for a few years, a big young man from Georgia. And so they got some starting pitching that's done really, really well. Looks like the strength of their team. So, we'll prepare for that and have our guys ready to roll and look forward to going to play middle.
Coach, thanks for everything so far this season. Look forward to these chats each week on the Insider podcast, and we'll be seeing you on the way out to Tennessee, all right?
Sounds good, JP. Thanks, man.
That's Matt Bragga, head coach of our Rice Owls. Stay tuned coming up. Rice Owls Insider back right after this from Learfield IMG College.
The Wyndham Houston Medical Center Hotel and Suites is the preferred hotel for anybody visiting the Medical Center, the Museum District, or Rice University. We offer the largest suites in the Medical Center, complete with full kitchens, and our full-service restaurant and outdoor pool will make your stay complete. We look forward to having you experience the Wyndham Houston Medical Center Hotel and Suites soon. And if you need a group rate or need 10 or more rooms, don't forget to call 713-528-7744. That's 713-528-7744.
Welcome back to Rice Owls Insider. Here again, the voice of the Owls, JP Heath.
Welcome back on Rice Owls Insider. What a crazy busy time of year it has been. Volleyball, what? In the spring, you say? Yes, and Rice back up to its old ways of dominating on the court. And one of their key players, star players, if you will, should probably kind of shy away from that label. It is junior setter Carly Graham. How are you doing, Carly?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Outstanding. So a little backstory about what led to you and me talking. Actually, almost literally bumped into Coach Volpe And she's been on the show a couple of times, and I was talking about just congratulating her on the recent success. And she said, hey, you really need to get Carly on the program. So Coach thinks a lot of you. So glad that you'll be able to join us, but just discuss the what a season it's been and what a crazy time of year. You don't usually think of this time of year as volleyball, but just discuss the season on a whole, how it's been for you all.
Yeah, playing in the spring, it's a new kind of journey for us. We've been working out and working together as a team all the way dating back to August. So we've had a lot of time to, get together and just, work as a team. And I think you can see on the court, like we have great team chemistry and we all work hard for each other and we want to be successful for one another. And we want, each person on our team to be successful. And so I think that, just having that, team chemistry has really helped us, be successful this season.
Is it any different playing in the spring, or once you get to playing again, is it just like you'd be regularly playing your regular fall and winter season?
Yeah, so I think it's a little different in the way that, whenever you add, new people to the team, and this year we have a lot of, new faces, and, having that whole first semester to be able to work together and, figure each other out and build that team chemistry, I think it helps a lot going into the spring and just having that team chemistry background going into it. Otherwise, you just jump all right in together. And while that is super fun and super exciting, just getting that team chemistry flowing translates a lot on the court.
Y'all are playing your best volleyball at the right time of the year. What's led to that?
I think we've said from the very beginning we want to take everything one game at a time. And last week before we were saying, just every single play, if it goes our way, great. If it doesn't, be like a goldfish, move on and focus on the next thing. And so I think we've just really kind of adopted that mentality towards the end of the season. And just, as I was saying, our team chemistry, we just really want this for one another. And, the very end is the championship season. So, we're about to go into our conference tournament and then hopefully the NCAA tournament. And we just want to keep going and keep having fun.
So you were part of the team, and forgive my lapse of time here because this COVID time, everything's blended together. But was that your freshman year or your sophomore year when y'all beat Texas at Tudor Fieldhouse?
That was my sophomore year.
Okay, so I was trying to make it longer ago than it was. So last year, y'all beat Texas at home, and then you go to Texas and return the favor, and you do it again. Compare the feelings of those two, because I know being around sports, there's nothing better than a road victory, and winning at the number 2 team had to be almost twice as nice, and doing it a second year in a row at that had to be just I can't imagine the feeling. So discuss that.
Yeah, it was really like an amazing feeling for sure. It was like such a special moment. Compared to last year, it was at home. We had so much capacity filled inside of Tudor Fieldhouse, so many student athletes coming, all of our families. And then, after we won, everybody rushed the court. And so it was just crazy, awestruck kind of feeling. And then, with this year being so different, way less capacity, it being away, and just, everything, this has been a tough year for a lot of people. And, that amazing feeling and the opportunity that we got to play, we're so thankful to be able to play during these times. And it was just an amazing feeling of a lot of hard work throughout the entire year that just, it felt like it all had come together, and it was just complete like bliss when that last ball hit the floor.
Yeah, I remember talking to Coach preseason in our preview how scheduling those games against Texas and Baylor, it was a perfect lead in here to the conference tournament we're at now, which we'll discuss in just a little bit. But y'all started 1-3. I know you weren't totally healthy then, but with your whole roster, your only loss is to Baylor in 5 sets at that. So discuss that. When you have everything clicking and when you have that full roster, it seems like y'all are a tough team to beat, huh?
Yeah, I think, every time we go out there, we just try and be as competitive as we can and have as much fun, working together as we can. And I think it's translating a lot, and as well as our team chemistry translates a lot and kind of propels us to, be successful together.
And I know positionally you're in a different role, so to speak, as far as you're the primary setter coming up this year, first season for that. So another kind of peek back when I was talking to Coach Volpe, she was so proud of the way you have kind of been that quarterback of the team, so to speak. So discuss how personally that's been different for you. While it's the same position, you're just, I'm sure that's a different role in a sense for you.
Yeah, I would say, we had some great leaders, my first couple of years, and they really paved the way and, displayed and showed, what Rice volleyball culture is and, how we all love each other, work hard for each other. And, we're just always super competitive during the whole time. And so I think, everybody on the team is like that, and everybody's just super invested, and it's really fun to get to play with everybody and, get to work hard with all these people every single day.
Now, I know you're taking it one game at a time here with the conference tournament coming up. And as people listen to this, they'll listen to different stages. So hopefully you'll be moving on in the tournament. But just what's the different mindset when you do go into tournament, how that's different from the regular routine, even though that regular routine has been so different with the way y'all have structured your matches in games this year. So what's the mindset going into the tournament for you and the rest of the team?
I think the mindset is also, taking one game at a time, and, with it being postseason, it's survive in advance. And so just kind of putting your backs against the wall and knowing like we're getting down to the wire to the end of our season. And, we got to win, we got to be successful and win these games to keep playing and keep having fun. So I think knowing that, it builds a lot of intensity and competitiveness within our team to keep moving on.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, you were a part of that team that made the recent NCAA run. You think this team has the makings of something similar?
Yeah, for sure. I think, if we're all locked in and we have been this whole season, staying competitive and working hard together, I think we can make a great run.
All right, and white lie there. Favorite class or two at Rice? Like, what are you doing now? What's your major? I know McMurtry College in my brief intel on you, but what's got you? What do you like, or what challenging? It's Rice. There might be some tough classes, but how's that side of things? How are those looking now?
Yeah, it's awesome. With being virtual, our professors have been super amazing, and they're, helping us as much as we can. And it's just awesome. The whole community here is amazing, athletics and academics. I'm majoring in health science. And so right now my biggest interest is health education and health promotion. And I've been taking several classes in that, and I'm really enjoying it so far.
What do you want to do when your playing days are done?
Yeah, when all that's over, I want to become a CDCES, which is a certified diabetes care and education specialist. So, helping people and providing them like the tools and information they need to improve their health.
That's fantastic. That's so fantastic. Hey, thanks for the time. I know you've got a busy schedule heading off to Hattiesburg for the conference tournament and doing your other media, your roundtable interviews and such, going across the TV and whatnot. So thanks for coming on, and Rice fight. All right. Get us some wins. Okay.
All right. Will do. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. That's Carly Graham with the Rice volleyball team. Stay tuned. Wrap up the show right after this from Learfield IMG College.
The members of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 716 built the things that make Rice University and Houston great, and we want you to join us. Build a better career. To find out more, visit IBEW716.net.
Time certainly does fly when you are having fun, does it not? The Rice Owls Insider Podcast wrapped up for another edition. What a lot we had to get to. I dare say we had fun doing it, did we not? You can catch us on wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, and the like. And you can also get us on the Rice Owls YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to that. And if you want to just put those pictures with the words, as we always say. But have a great rest of this day or night. God bless. Go Owls. Rice fight. We'll talk to you on the next edition of Rice Owls Insider here from Learfield, IMG College. Have a good one.
On the Rice Sports Network from Learfield IMG College, you've been listening to Rice Owls Insider, powered by IBEW Local 716, lighting up Rice University in Houston for over 100 years. Karlgaard Brewing Company, crafted for serious fun. And by AT&T Sportsnet, the TV home of the Astros and Rockets. The preceding has been a Learfield IMG College presentation on the Rice Sports Network.